What's going on, guys? It's Anthony. I'll be doing a recap of what happened weekend one at Coachella 2017. Now, I haven't seen any videos like this of anyone sitting down and just going over what happened during this crazy weekend. So let's get into it. Now, I went to weekend one. Weekend two I went to last year. Was a lot hotter at weekend two than it was weekend one, and also at weekend one they bring out a lot more people because personally I think the hype is better around weekend one. But anyways, I drove up Thursday with my best friend Brooke and some of her friends. We left around 3 o'clock, which was a bad idea because we sat in a bunch of traffic and it actually took us a couple hours longer than it should have. But we actually ended up having to go to will call when we got out there because, funny story, the lady that cleans my house, she actually threw out my wristband, and I actually spent a couple hours digging through the trash trying to find it because I didn't know that you could get a replacement wristband, which I was able to. Normally they actually end up charging you $40, but they were trying to get us through the line, so I actually got it for free, which was actually pretty good. And after that, Brooke took me to my friend Kyle's house, which is where I actually stayed for the whole weekend. Now, enough of the backstory, it just matters what happened at Coachella. So Friday, we actually ended up getting there around 2 o'clock. We went straight to the Do-Lab. Now, after the Do-Lab, we actually ended up going to Big Gigantic. The main dude was on the trumpet. They had a drummer, they had a couple people on different instruments, but they were actually really cool. And after Big Gigantic, we ended up just hanging out, getting some food, sitting around, and then around 7:30, I ended up meeting up with my best friend and the rest of his squad, Christian, and Elijah, Zach, and Ian. And after we met up with them, we ended up heading over to Travis Scott about an hour and a half early so that we could end up squeezing into the mosh pit because if anyone knows the Travis Scott concert, the mosh pit is actually pretty crazy. Now, 10 minutes, I would say, into Travis Scott, some of my friends, they couldn't take it. Some of them had to get out. I wasn't even with my brother, my other friends. We got split up because the mosh pit was so crazy. But I ended up getting into a planter on the side of the mosh pit and just standing up and watching the rest of the show there. Now, after Travis was over, all of our friends, we got split up, and I was basically by myself. And as you can see from this clip,
okay, so Travis Scott just ended. I just lost all of my friends. I don't know where they're at, but I'm walking to Dylan Francis. Hopefully I find them. We will see.
So as you can see, I really wasn't trying to meet up with my friends just because there wasn't enough time to meet up with them and then go to Dylan Francis because he was starting in about a half an hour, I believe. And if anyone knows me, Dylan Francis is my favorite. And I had to get a good spot for that. I ended up meeting this group of girls. I didn't know who they were, but I ended up pushing in with them and I got a pretty decent spot. Now a show, as you can see.
1, 2, 3.
Now Dylan's set was actually really good. He actually brought out a couple people. He brought out Will Hurd, the guy that sings Anywhere.
I'll take you anywhere I go, anywhere. I'll take you anywhere I go, anywhere. I'll take you anywhere I go, anywhere. I'll take you anywhere I go, anywhere.
And he ended up bringing out G-Eazy to perform their new song, Say Less.
Yes, oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. Hey. Say less. Hey, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, hey.
And then finally at the end, he brought out James Hersey to perform Coming Over, which ended up being really beautiful.
All I can think about is coming over, coming over. All I can think about is coming over, coming over. All I can think about is coming over, coming over, coming over. Put your hands in the sky! Isn't it strange? Oh no, oh no. Isn't it strange?
Now after Dylan was over, we met up with my friends. We ended up making the mistake on going down the yellow path. We ended up waiting 2.5 hours to get into an Uber just to get back to the house. Now on Saturday, we slept in just because the first day took a pretty big toll on us. We ended up going around 5 o'clock to day 2. And from there, I met up with Christian right away just because it was his birthday weekend and I wanted to be with him for that time. And also, I went to go meet up with Brooke once we were all sitting around getting water. And of course, it was kind of a theme of the weekend when I grabbed Brooke and her friends and I came back looking for my other group of friends. They were gone, so we were split up again. But it was all right. I just went to Future with Brooke and her friends. Could have actually ended up being a headlining performance by him. He ended up bringing out the Migos. And the biggest surprise of all, he ended up bringing out Drake. Now, it wasn't close for Drake because we were already heading over to get a good spot for Martin Garrix because I've never seen him before, and I was really excited to just go and be really close to see him.
Yo, Von D, who are we waiting for? Who are we waiting for? Martin Garrix. Martin fucking Garrix. Martin fucking Garrix.
Now, Martin Garrix, dude. Martin fucking Garrix put on the best set from the whole weekend, in my opinion. It was a lot of fun, and here's some clips of that. After Martin Garrix, it was actually pretty hectic because we were really close. We were trying to get over to DJ Snake, who started 5 minutes before Martin Garrix's set ended. So we kind of had to rush over there because we wanted to get a good spot for that as well. Now me and my friend Zach, and we were actually pretty good at getting up pretty close. So we just went around the right side, off the side, and we pushed ourselves into the middle. We ended up getting a really good spot for that. DJ Snake, that dude just goes super hard on everything in this clip. Just proves how crazy he can get. He also ended up bringing out the Migos.
We came from nothing to something, nigga. I don't turn out my nigga the trigger. Call up the gang and they come and get it. Come in your river, give you a cushion. Bad and bougie. Cooking up dope with the Uzi. My niggas is savage, ruthless. We got batters and 100 rounds too. My bitch is bad and bougie. Cooking up dope with the Uzi. My niggas is savage, ruthless. We got batters and 100 rounds too. Coachella, make some fucking noise for me, Coach right now.
Now that's all I wanted to see for Saturday, and unfortunately my brother got sick, so I ended up leaving with him, and then I took a couple trips back and forth, just picking up my friends later in the night, just to make it easier so that we didn't have to wait 2.5 hours for an Uber again. Now Sunday, day 3, Mino actually ended up coming over to Kyle's house so he could party with us before we went over for day 3. A couple of his friends, well actually his brother and his friend, they didn't end up going to day 3. One of them had to go back to school. The other just went home. I forget why. But he had 2 wristbands that he ended up giving to Kyle, one of my good brothers, Jonathan. We ended up getting them in for day 3, and it was their first time going, so they actually ended up having a lot of fun. And I wanted to get there before 4:30 because that's when Lil Uzi Vert was performing, and I just wanted to see one song from him. You guys could probably take a guess what it is. But we ended up getting there right before his set started. And it was just me, Kyle, and Jonathan. We actually got a pretty decent spot. He brought up Playboy Cardi. DJ Drama was up on the stage with them too. But I actually got a pretty good video of the one song I wanted to see.
I don't really care if you cry. No, really should've never lied. Saw the way she looked me in my eyes. She said, baby, I'm not afraid to die. With my friends are dead. What? With my friends are dead. Yeah.
And after Uzi, I ended up meeting up with Christian and everyone else. We ended up heading over to Porter Robinson and Maddie on set. That was actually the one of the 2 last shows that him and Maddie were performing together after a long tour that they did. It was actually really, really good. The last drop that they had to end their set actually floored me pretty hard, and I couldn't move, so here's that.
It's a long way for trust in me. I'll give them shelter like you've done for me. And I know you'll be watching over us. I'm gone. I'll be okay.
Now after Porter was over, I met up with the rest of the squad that we were with. We ended up heading over to Galantis, who surprisingly was actually really good. They have one song that everyone basically knows from them. We were basically there for Galantis just to push up and get a good spot for Marshmello.
On the ground, nowhere front row.
Because his sets are always fun and super surprising. And he actually ended up bringing out a couple people. He brought out A$AP Ferg toward the end. Which was actually really cool. And then the biggest surprise of all, he ended up bringing out Travis Barker, who is one of my favorite drummers, and I actually lost my shit. I went pretty crazy, but I got it all here on video. And after that, there was a big mosh pit that opened up, and we ended up pushing up pretty far with me and Jonathan. We were almost to the gate, and he ended up ending his set with one of my favorite songs from him. It's his Hello cover.
Coachella, let me hear you sing it!
Now after that was over, we ended up heading over to Kendrick Lamar's set, who Kendrick, my favorite rapper, dude, he killed it. His set was insane. It was a full-on production. But basically after that, that was the end of Coachella. We just headed over to the Do Lab for a little bit, and then I met up with Brooke again, and we ended up going to the silent disco with her and some friends. And then we just ended up driving back, and that was that. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a comment below, like the video. Me and my best friend Christian, we're planning on doing vlogs probably once or twice a week. And if you want to see what me and Christian are going to be doing moving forward, make sure you subscribe below. We'll hopefully have those videos out pretty soon. Peace.